So are you moving to Atlanta soon and you are looking for a neighborhood that is family friendly? Well, stay tuned. This video is for you. I'm going to cover 7 different neighborhoods that are perfect for families. And I'm talking about neighborhoods that are in the city of Atlanta, not the suburbs. So if you're looking to live in the city, then stick around. Let's get into it. Let's talk all about living in Atlanta right now. Hey there, my name is Molly and welcome to my channel. If you are new or returning and you want to know everything there is to know about living in the Atlanta area, then make sure you subscribe to this channel. Give this video a like, and if you want to be notified when I do post another video, make sure you tap that bell for a notification. Okay, so you're moving to Atlanta and you got to know, okay, I got kids in tow. I want to live in a neighborhood that is great for families. Well, I got you because, I got 2 young kids too. And I've learned that I want a neighborhood where my kids can go run out and play with the neighbors really easily, has good schools. I feel comfortable walking around the block with my kids. So unfortunately, like a lot of people think that the suburbs is the way you have to go because the suburbs are safe and good schools, etc. Well, here in the city of Atlanta, you can actually find some great neighborhoods, tons of families in there. The schools are good. So don't think that you have to live out into the suburbs, but hey, I'm not dissing the suburbs. If you like living out there, you get a lot more space and a lot more for your money. But if you just are, you got to live in the city and experience the city life, there are definitely neighborhoods in Atlanta for you. Okay, I've got a list of 7 different neighborhoods. To be honest, it was pretty hard just to pick out 7 neighborhoods, and I'm going to go through these. They're in no numerical order, and just know that this is not an exhaustive list. There's actually tons more neighborhoods to choose from. So, if what I explain in this video isn't hitting with you, well, just reach out to me because I can give you a list of 10 more neighborhoods. So, don't hesitate to shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email with any questions, or put any questions or comments you do have in that comments box below. But here we go. Number 1 on my list is Brookhaven. So Brookhaven is one that, if you don't really want to be really close to your neighbors, and you want kind of a larger yard, a nice big home, Brookhaven is probably where you want to be. You can get a really great, 4,000, 5,000 square foot home with a 2-story plus a basement, have some yard space, and you're still, close to your neighbors, but not too far away, if that makes any kind of sense. The great thing about Brookhaven is that you are kind of right by Buckhead, so you can get over there for a date night and leave your kids at home with the babysitter. Brookhaven has a lot of good, highly ranked schools. And, a couple of neighborhoods that I would suggest are very popular ones like Ashford Park, there's Drew Valley, and Brookhaven Field. They're all right along Dresden Drive, which has a bunch of little shops and places to eat along there. You're not very far from Costco in the Brookhaven shopping center area. And a little north, if you're living in the northern part of Brookhaven, there's tons of big parks over there, like the Blackburn Park. If you got a kid that likes to play soccer, they do a lot of soccer games over there. Or Candler Murphy Park, that's another beautiful park to walk around, and they have tons of baseball fields. So if your kid's into baseball, you're probably going to be spending a lot of your time over in that park. Plus, it's really close to I-85. You can get onto Highway 400 pretty quickly as well. So it's just a good spot that's, close to the city, maybe a little further out than on Midtown. You get good sized lots. And let me give you the average price point for a single family home in Brookhaven. So all of the city of Brookhaven, the average price point is $799,000. Now, this is really going to depend on which part of Brookhaven you're living in. For example, Ashford Park is a neighborhood within Brookhaven. It's a very popular area to live in. They have a lot of newer build construction homes. The average price point there is $1.15 million. So you can see the price range is really going to vary. But what I do like about Brookhaven, if you just kind of like nicer, newer homes, you can find a lot of those in the Brookhaven area versus, if you get into the more in-town markets, you can get nice big homes, but they are going to cost a lot more, and you're probably going to have a small lot. So Brookhaven is a nice middle point between being, dead center in the city and not too far out in the burbs. Brookhaven is definitely one to check out. Next neighborhood on my list is Garden Hills. Now, Garden Hills is a southern Buckhead neighborhood. It's just south of where the malls are in the Buckhead Village. And what I really like about Garden Hills is that you get a good mix of, there's some custom homes on there, but there's a lot of older homes that have been really nicely renovated, and they're all on pretty good, decent sized lots. Garden Hills just feels very nice and pristine. So if you kind of like that feel, then Garden Hills might be a spot for you. Now, the average sales price for Garden Hills for a single family home is just around 1.3 million. So it's definitely a pricier neighborhood. But one great thing that I do love about this neighborhood is that there are 3 schools within this small neighborhood. So there is Christ the King, which is a private Catholic school. There is the Atlanta International School, and then there's the Garden Hills Public Elementary School as well. So there's a lot of schools that you can easily walk to if you wanted to. Plus, you have all the amenities of the Buckhead area. And if your kids are into, extracurricular activities, I think there's a lot that you can get to in the Buckhead area very, very quickly. Plus, you're not a far drive from Midtown if you want to go and hang out over there when there's cool concerts and that kind of thing going on. Another great thing I love about Garden Hills is that this neighborhood has a community public swimming pool, and it's a really nice one. I take my kids there all the time. We usually make it a Saturday morning trip. We'll go to the pool, hang out, and then we'll stop at the Chick-fil-A on the way home. So we make it kind of a fun adventure. But having that in basically your own neighborhood where you can walk to or ride your bike to, man, that would be really, really nice. Because that is one thing in Atlanta, I feel like we don't have enough public swimming pools that are easily accessible. So having one in your own neighborhood is pretty nice. I should also mention that if your kid is into baseball, well, at Frankie Allen Park, which is on the northern side of Garden Hills, they have the Buckhead Baseball Club, and they are pretty serious about their baseball. So that is one place you want to check out if you got a kid that's into the baseball scene. And another thing I will say is that Garden Hills, I feel like, has a good mix of younger kids and older kids. Like in my neighborhood, I feel like it's all kindergarten, first, second, third graders, and I feel like Garden Hills has a little bit better mix of the little ones and the older, cooler kids too. Next on my list is City of Decatur. Now, if you're really into having the best schools, well, then you should really consider the City of Decatur, because they are ranked like number 4 out of 179 of the best school districts in the state of Georgia, according to niche.com. So you can imagine there's a lot of families wanting to live in the City of Decatur. It's great. Now, here's a couple catches. So some of the homes can be a little bit smaller and older, and the property taxes are a little bit higher. So those are just a couple of catch-22s about living here. But they have some great, newer construction homes, and there's also smaller bungalows. So it just really depends on your price point. But the average sales price for a single family home in Decatur is around $775,000. But I would say, like, if you want a similar big home like you would find in Brookhaven in the Decatur area, you're definitely going to be paying $1.2 to $1.5 million for that. But other things that I love about City of Decatur is that City of Decatur I always describe as it's like a small town feel next to a big city. So with, City of Decatur is probably only 4 or 5 miles from the center of Atlanta. So I will say sometimes City of Decatur kind of feels like it's out on the island. It's kind of far east out there, inside the perimeter, and it's a little farther from highway access, but it does give you that small town feel when you're driving down Ponce de Leon in the town square where all the restaurants and the shops are. It's a very walkable neighborhood, so a lot of people love that aspect of living in the City of Decatur as well. Plus, the dining scene is really good, and in fact, there's a lot of people that seek out to eat dinner over in the City of Decatur for a date night. So you can kind of have it all right there. And there's actually a lot of little neighborhoods within the City of Decatur. A very popular one would be Oakhurst, which actually has its own little pocket of shops and restaurants within its own little neighborhood. So if you're looking at City of Decatur, just make sure you're searching for zip code 30030, and that's going to narrow down to basically all of City of Decatur and their school system. City of Decatur definitely has a lot of different parks throughout its city, and they also do a lot of different festivals, and it is not unusual to see moms walking their kids in strollers and just parents everywhere. So it is definitely a very family friendly vibe. So I always say, like, if you're young and single, the City of Decatur is probably not best for you to like meet some other young and single people, but if you've got a family, well, then this is definitely a great choice because this area is flooded with children. Next up on my list is Candler Park. Now, this one probably a lot of people don't talk about this one as much, and like I said, there's so many neighborhoods that it's hard to just pick a couple, but I like Candler Park because it just has that small community feel to it. In fact, when I was vlogging the Candler Park neighborhood for my YouTube channel, it was around the end of the school hour, and a lot of kids were just walking home with their parents, stopping in at Sean's Harvest Market for a snack. So it was just a really good sight to see, you know, all these kids having a good time walking home. And yeah, the homes are going to be a lot closer together, and there's going to be a mix of kind of older bungalows, some beautiful older bungalows that have been renovated really well, and there's definitely a lot of newer craftsman style homes too. The average sales price for a single family home in Candler Park is $875,000. So it's not cheap, but it's definitely cheaper than if you looked in Morningside or Virginia Highland, which everyone likes those neighborhoods because of their great schools. But honestly, Candler Park has a school that's very highly ranked as well online, and that is the Mary Lynn Elementary School, and it's in the Candler Park neighborhood, so very walkable. Another thing I like about Candler Park is it has a huge green space, a Candler Park Park. It has soccer fields, so you're going to see those flooded with kids on the weekends doing soccer clubs, and then there's a big playground area, lots of birthday parties going on, and they do some festivals as well in Candler Park. They do a couple music festivals throughout the year. Plus, it's very close to a lot of other popular in-town neighborhoods, so when there's something going on in Inman Park or Midtown, Virginia Highland, Old Fourth Ward, it's only, you know, a 5, 6, 7 minute drive away, so very close to that as well. So Candler Park just gives you that good community feeling. And if you're not finding something in Candler Park, a very similar neighborhood hint would be right next door, Lake Claire. That also is a neighborhood that I think goes under the radar a little bit. So if you're interested in any of these neighborhoods that I am talking about, make sure you go to my channel. I've got a vlog tour on each of these neighborhoods, everything from Brookhaven to the Garden Hills, everything I'm mentioning today. So you can go check out more information on any of these that sound interesting. Number 5 on my list is Grant Park. Now, I just think it'd be fun to grow up in this area with all of the Victorian style homes. So if you're into kind of older architecture, then you don't want to miss out on Grant Park. They have a lot of older bungalows that have been renovated, and there's some newer home styles as well in there. But you are going to be closer to your neighbors, scrunched in there. But I think this is very fun, especially during Halloween time. I mean, you go down 2 or 3 blocks and you've hit, you know, dozens and dozens of homes. Like if you live in the suburbs, you're going to be like hopping in your car, driving to the next home. It's just going to take you a lot longer to do a lot of damage in the candy department versus living in somewhere like Grant Park. You can hit one street and you can be done for the night. But anyway, enough of Halloween. But what I'm just trying to say is that all the neighbors are pretty close together, but there's tons of young kids in this neighborhood. And how cool would it be to have the Grant Park green space around you, which is home to the Atlanta Zoo? I mean, who doesn't want a zoo in their front yard? So living close to that would be great for kids. Also, the Beltline goes through the southern part and the eastern part of the neighborhood. And there's also the Beacon over there. So there's a couple breweries over there for the adults. And you're also close to, you know, the interstate highways and the airports, you know, 10, 15 minutes at the most. So it's a great spot, lots of young kids around there, and just also schools. I should mention the schools. You know, Parkside Elementary is ranked very well, and then also the Atlanta Charter Neighborhood School. The Atlanta Neighborhood Charter School is very popular. It is a lottery system, so you do have to apply, and you may or may not get in. I hear it can be kind of hard to get into, but that is also another option, and it's located in the Grant Park neighborhood. Next on my list, number 6, is Kirkwood. Now, what I love about Kirkwood is that you get a small little downtown feel in the Kirkwood neighborhood. So there's some pubs, a coffee shop, some restaurants. So you get all of that walking distance to wherever you're living in the Kirkwood area. Also, you're very close to city of Decatur, so you can go over there for some meals or for a night out. So there's a lot of options in that regard, and you're just going to find tons of younger families here. Kirkwood used to be a very, up and coming transitional neighborhood, and it's past that at this point. A lot of young families have moved in, and the price point used to be very, very good. Now it has gotten a little bit more expensive, and the average sales price for Kirkwood is now $650,000. But you can get some bigger, brand new craftsman style homes. Now Kirkwood has I've started to see some sales in the $1 million mark for brand new homes, but if you've got a budget of $750,000 up to $1 million, you can get a pretty good, decent sized home. And if your budget is in that price point. If not, there are still some bungalow style homes that are going to be at more of the 3-bedroom, 2-bath range. That could be more in the $600,000 to $700,000 range. Also, Kirkwood has a couple of different parks. There's the Bessie Branham Park, and there is the Cohen Park. Plus, there's an urban forest Kirkwood Nature Preserve. I think I butchered how you pronounce that. But there's a couple different green spaces that you can get your kids out and burn some energy. So yeah, a lot of younger families living in the Kirkwood area, and I think it's a great one. Finally, to round out my list, I'm going to have to mention Virginia Highland. Now, I'm a little biased. I live in this neighborhood, but it does have tons of young families, tons of young kids in this neighborhood. The schools are highly rated. It's interesting in Virginia Highland right now. The main school is Springdale Park Elementary School, and we've got this Inman Middle School. It used to be a middle school, and now the middle school there has moved over into Old Fourth Ward. So we've got this extra building, and so now they are creating a new school, and what it's going to be called is TBD. Probably by the time I post this video, they will have created a name. I think they're leaning towards Virginia Highland Elementary School. So they're having to do a little bit of rezoning of the boundary lines of who's going to go to which school. There's definitely been some debate over the last couple of years of how this is all going to work out. And there's a little bit of nervousness of, is this new school going to be good? And there's just a lot of family support behind these schools, so I don't see them taking a dive or anything like that. But besides the schools, it's just a very, very walkable neighborhood. You are going to be very close to your neighbors, but there's so many of them up the street from you that, your kids are bound to have someone that they're going to school with that lives just up the street. In fact, where we live, we got kids in my daughter's class that's 2 doors down, and then probably 5 or 6 people that live up the street from us. So it's a really fun environment, and it's very walkable to all the shops. You can get over to Piedmont Park. You can get over to Midtown. It's, if you really want that city living feeling, but still with a great neighborhood vibe, then Virginia Highland would be a spot for you. Now, the price point, again, it's a little bit steep. It's 1.2 for the average price point. I would say anything under $1 million, it's going to be a smaller bungalow. If you want brand new in Virginia Highland, brand new builds are going for just over $2 million now. I remember when they used to be like 1.4, but that was, 10 years ago. So in any case, Virginia Highland is a great spot, lots of young families, and if you don't like what you're seeing in Virginia Highland, just look in Morningside. Very similar feel, a little bit more spread out, not quite as walkable, but still a very similar price point and feel overall. Okay, so that's my list of neighborhoods that are great for families here in the Atlanta area. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, and if you are watching and you are from Atlanta and I didn't name your neighborhood, believe me, like it was hard to just minimize this to 7, but I couldn't do a video of like 20 best neighborhoods because that would just be way too long. So there you go. If you have questions or you want to know some more neighborhoods, then just be reaching out to me because I can help you with your home search and your home purchase. So shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email. I love hearing from you, and I can't wait to help you out and make your move to the Atlanta area a little bit easier. So you guys, that's all I have for you today. Until next time, I'll see you around the neighborhood.